So, where do punks tend to work? From my experience, I've generally seen punks working at pizza places, sandwich shops, the door of shitty clubs, and tattoo parlors. Basically, places where the work is so menial that they just get the job done and keep their head down and do whatever they want after work, or places where everybody's pretty much like them. So, yeah. Hey, it's now week 2 into this DAO punk blogging journey. It's leading me to reflect what working as a DAO punk in the Web3 world truly is. Is it working in a glamorous Web3 biz dev job, traveling the world, attending conferences with exclusive side events and resort meditation retreats, sticking it to the man from the inside? Or is it just about working online in a DAO, attending endless community calls in your room behind a computer, in your underwear with a bag of old Doritos on the desk and your cat sitting on the arm of your chair while you chat endlessly about hypothetical governance protocols? Is being in a DAO hardcore anti-establishment? Or, and I've seen this firsthand, is it leaving the corporate life only to LARP corporate models into DAO life? So many times I've seen people bring in language like KPIs and metrics into DAO conversations. And I'm not dogging on the corp life or the traditional work experience if that's where you feel comfortable and good. I mean, hey, there's a place for that. But deep inside, for me, it's something I've found that I'm not really cut out for. The place I used to work at the propane hose plant before forming my own business, they didn't really use technical corporate language because basically they were just mostly rednecks. But they still said things like, oh, we're a family. And they gave us the standard pizza party instead of raises when the company succeeded as a whole. I mean, my mind was blown when he's just like, oh, okay, we achieved our goals, guys. Pizza party for everybody. And like, no irony. He was totally serious. So in reality, none of the employees really gave a shit. Everybody hated their job. And for the most part, they didn't like each other. But as long as their coworker did their part in the hellhole they were at, they tolerated each other. And we even laughed with each other occasionally. I mean, I like the people that I worked with at that old job. It was just mind numbing and just soul sucking. So anyway, but back to the corporate jargon being brought into DAOs. Do we tend to create the only thing we're familiar with? Are we being skeuomorphic? Chris Dixon said this in his book. Being skeuomorphic is creating, where is that book? Anyway, being skeuomorphic is creating something new with the language or model of the old because that's the only thing we know. The first iteration of the web was basically PDFs online. A repository of one-way information is all we could conceive the web to be at the time. Are we currently doing this with DAOs? Are we doing this with jobs in Web3? What possibilities does a decentralized community with code-based flat hierarchy actually have? Can it even operate with the same language models? I don't know. So back to my starting sentences about where punks work. Punks either hate their job or they only work in a place that will accept them for the dirty shitbags they are, right? I'm one of them. So, it's the pot calling the kettle black. So, they only work in places where they can be themselves. For punk, their lifestyle is their mission. The JOB is only a place to eat and sleep without being on the street. In the case of crust punks, they will even willingly live on the street. So that's why punks work their shitty jobs. They see life as more than their job. Their mission is about expressing disdain and dissent with a machine and Moloch style of a corporate society. But can someone dance with the devil and be a chameleon? In Journo DAO, we consistently have super candid conversations where we're either talking about Moloch or farts or Moloch's farts. And farts come up a lot in the Journo DAO conversation threads. We're just a bunch of big kids. But today I had a conversation with Crystal Street, and she's one of my good friends in there, on the topic of being a punk in a corporate setting, because she just got out of a corporate setting. She was working for a Web3 company and, was working super hard, and it still felt soul sucking, even though it was Web3, but she still wanted to be a chameleon and try to fight for decentralization in that corporate setting. And so she's a chameleon, and being a chameleon takes more skill than I have, but she's more capable of walking that tightrope. I'm too bullheaded, literal, and obvious with very little nuance to be able to pull that off. Like, I'm kind of cringy sometimes. I know it, and that's okay. Whatever. I either fully submit or I fully rebel. And in this stage of life, I'm currently fully rebelling. I mean, I don't really care anymore. I mean, I rejected the notion of having a proper full-time job for the sake of benefits and a consistent paycheck. My relatives and family, they see me as a bit weird, and for them, it's natural for me to act this way. But in all honesty, it's pretty terrifying, especially with a family, and, it's just, yeah. So does being punk mean that you acknowledge that there are no guarantees in life? Does it mean that you have a worldview that it's you against the structured world? At the same time, does it mean that you have a certain type of stubborn faith that what you need to survive will be given to you by those around you? Not because you don't want to work and you're looking for handouts, but because you believe so strongly in standing up for what's right and rejecting our mainstream comforts that you'll proudly and be derisively called a punk by the normie. As a result, you have faith that those in your community that see the value in your stance will see to it that you have what you need. It's scary. It's terrifying. Like I said, on Monday morning, after ETH Denver expenses were all gone, I had $23 in my bank account. And all my savings had been drained in a recent hack of my crypto wallets. I naively believed a Twitter anon about a job opportunity, and I was supposed to get on an interview call with them and the team. I desperately needed the work, and I basically let my basic security principles bend. And also I had too much crypto in my hot wallet because I was about to cash out for a business I'm trying to start, a skateboarding gym. And that's a whole other story. But anyway, when I clicked on the link to get in the call, the malware was installed. And before I knew it, what happened, everything was just drained out of my computer, Bitcoin, Ethereum, everything. So yeah, anyway, to draw a metaphor, this is what it's like living in the streets. I mean, not that I know what it's like to actually live in the streets because I never have, but you have to be on your feet and aware at all times. In this crypto space, we're living in the digital streets. We have to be a punk to survive. We have to live in a trustless state. But again, also have an ironic faith in community and humanity. The DAO's our gang, our punk gang. So the DAO punks, they've taken me in and they've come in clutch with their governance votes to help with the cohort 4 grant. And I'm super thankful. I'm in the process of using that 1 ETH given to me to pay my mortgage, utility, car, groceries, and other basic needs. It's been an absolute godsend to not have to worry about the next couple of months while I work on going full-time Web3. It's also allowed me the mental room to not have to spend all my time working some lame gigs I would normally have to take to survive. And so instead, on Monday, I went to downtown Austin to attend and participate in the Unrestricted Intelligence Summit. I went with the intention to cover it in the name of Crypto Sapiens and interview some presenters there on the intersection of AI and Web3, which is totally cool to me. I love it. And the summit was organized by Gary Shang at Edge City, ATX DAO, Morpheus AI, and Uncommon Entrepreneurs. It was really an amazing educational opportunity in which I learned tons about AI. I learned about why we shouldn't fear it, but also I learned about the importance of AI being open and decentralized. I learned how Morpheus protocol works as the open source rails on which open AI models can be built and sustained. I set up my lights and camera and mics in the back room, and I got to interview some extremely smart people in the space and have them walk me step by step in how a lot of the moving parts of it fit together. There were no scripts. It was just me asking thick-headed questions that they patiently answered, and I learned so much. So on top of that, the organizer was so moved by my efforts that even though it was not supposed to be a paying job or gig or anything like that, I was just volunteering. I was sent some pretty healthy compensation for my efforts. So that meant the world to me, and it further reinforced my punk belief that if you stand solidly for what you believe in, you'll be taken care of. This is an extremely difficult position to take when others depend on your income to live. It's not just me dumpster diving my way through life. I have a family with kids. So the relief of pressure that these occasions have are super incredibly joyous. So thank you. It's humbling, but empowering at the same time. And to me, this is part of what being a DAO punk is all about.